Firefighters can be full-time, firefighters can be part-time, firefighters can be volunteers. You can be in a rural fire brigade, you can be in a fire service, you can be a parkie, you can be with council, you can be in mines. There's a lot of people out there keeping us all safe, and the most important thing that we can possibly do is to try and keep them safe. The most important thing a brigade or a fire service or an organisation has is its people, and the most important thing to a person is their own health. So the Rural Fire Brigades Association, we're going to start a conversation about crew safety, and we're going to do it by using the innovation platform. The RFBAQ, Rural Fire Brigades Association Queensland Innovation Platform. What we want to achieve with this is we want to have a conversation about crew safety and crew protection. We're not going to talk about the vehicle. We're going to talk about the things, the options, the new ideas we've put on the vehicle. The brigades can have a look at, talk about does it meet their needs, is there a better way of doing it, and also, and very important for a fire truck, is weight. So every time we go to add some crew protection safety feature onto a vehicle, it's going to weigh something. So we need to have a grown-up conversation with brigades around the state about if we want to add things onto a vehicle, what we have to take off. Because one of the most important things about crew safety is making sure the vehicle is safe to go on the road before we even leave for the fire. The RFBAQ Innovation Platform came following a very, very generous donation from Mercedes-Benz. Mercedes-Benz donated the RFBAQ a G-Wagon. The G-Wagon at the end of the innovation platform process will be distributed to a rural fire brigade, and at the end of this process a rural fire brigade that does not have a truck will get a truck. So we'd like to thank Mercedes-Benz. We would also like to thank the Dowling Family Foundation. They made a very, very generous donation to the Rural Fire Brigades Association, and that money is specifically being used to buy equipment, fit out and kit out this vehicle to allow the firefighter safety conversation to happen around Queensland and hopefully nationally. So again, huge thanks to our foundation supporters, let's call them that, the Mercedes-Benz and the Dowling Family Foundation. Crew protection. In Queensland, we don't have deluge systems on our medium attacks, which is the backbone of the rural fire fleet. And there's no rolled out crew protection on light attacks at all. We at the RFBAQ have come up with a new innovative idea in relation to crew protection and deluge system for light attacks. If it works, we're hoping that it can be something that can be scaled up to the medium attack and the heavy attack appliances in Queensland. So here we are, just behind the driver's side door, and we have a 20 litre water tank. Above the 20 litre water tank is an electric motor that can be activated from in the cab. It also has a test button on the panel at the back next to the pump. The water travels into the hard foam canister, and then travels up into this spray deluge system around the cab. We're not having to have a reservoir of water out of the main tank. We're not having to get out of the vehicle to turn the pump on or activate the deluge system. There's just a button in the cab that you can push to make it work. The deluge system will be better used in conjunction with fire curtains on the inside of the vehicle, plus fire curtains on the outside of the vehicle. So what we've done there is we're not letting the radiant heat into the vehicle in the first place, and we're also creating an air gap in between. So obviously best case scenario is don't need to deploy this at all. Next best case is you have a little bit of time to decide that you are going to go through your crew protection process for flashover or burnover. So you deploy the inside, you deploy the outside, and then you would start foaming down the outside. One of the different options that having exterior fire curtains will give you is that if you if you found it safe to be able to leave the fire ground and the fire is going to, or the radiant heat is going to impact one side of the vehicle, you'll be able to drop the curtain down on that side. So we're building up from the current coverage, which is a fire curtain inside. Okay, that's good. Fire curtain inside and outside with an air gap, better. Fire curtain inside, outside, air gap, plus deluge system, the best that we can think of at the moment. Of course, if you want zero harm, don't go to a fire. We have to always manage the risk against what we want to achieve, because there is always risk and there is always danger involved in fire. So we're going to be trialling this. I hope it works. When it goes around the state, please play with it. Please give us your feedback on the idea, or if you can think a better way of doing it. On top of the vehicle is a deflection system. It's not a FOPS. FOPS, falling overhead protection system, which you will see on a lot of G-Wagons around the country, weighs over 200 kilos. So as we all know with weight, every extra kilo you put on for something else is an extra litre of water you can't carry. So what we want to start talking about is what level of deflection of falling branches are we willing to accept, and what weight are we willing to pay. I think you will find with this deflection system here, we want to start the conversation about what's acceptable. I expect over the next 9 months, as this vehicle evolves, that you will see this radically change in shape and maybe even composition as well. But we need to start somewhere, and we need to say, what do we think is going to be to meet the average or the general need that is also achievable. It also, of course, gives us an excellent platform to put our fire curtains on, and also our deluge system. This system here, so everything you see clipped on here up, weighs 70 kilos. So already there's 70 litres of water that you're not going to be able to carry. So working our way around the vehicle from the driver's side back, side lockers, we found that with all the feedback forms we got from the Toyota Land Cruiser prototypes that the RFBAQ developed, that wings are quite popular with rural fire brigades. In here you're going to have your AED, you're going to have your first aid kit, you've got your fire extinguisher. This we ordered in pre-production. It is a fridge. This is a light attack, keep your sandwiches in there, your water. Great thing about this is you're not pulling out a fridge on a slide, you're not having to dig into the fridge from above while it's on the slide, and of course you can store around it. So I like that a lot. Currently that's the size it comes in from the manufacturer, Dometic. They don't build a bigger one at present, but like with all new things, the demand will come, the market will be there, and they might go up to bigger ones that we can put onto medium attacks. Or we can put 2 on each medium attack, who knows. Again, driver's side, behind the cab, working down from the fridge, we've got chocks, low tech, works, crew safety, why wouldn't you? You've got your fill point for your crew deluge system, and in here, wash your hands. So wash your hands near where the food comes from. That would make sense. Helmet brackets, keep your helmet out of the cab. There's one here, there's one on the other side. They were on the Land Cruisers that went around the state. Possibly one of the most controversial things that was on it. We had 137 people who said they liked the helmets, and I think we had just over 40 people who said they didn't like the helmets. Again, conversation starter, keeping the helmet out of the cab. You can either like it, you don't like it, but it's definitely something to talk about, and it's also something that you could order from QuikCorp Fire Engineering. Next to the helmets, we've got 2 drip torches. The drip torch is in a bunded area, comes down here, so you've got the valve where you're able to let it drain or hold it if you've had a fuel spill in there. Above that we have the diesel fill point for the actual vehicle itself, and your 20 litre foam drum goes in here, so we're not lifting it up too high. Nice straight lift in. So starting from the bottom down, we have a reversing camera which is just down here near the recovery points. This vehicle has 3 cameras. It has a reversing camera, it has a crew deck camera which we'll get to in a minute, and it has a FLIR on the bull bar which we'll get to last, and that can all be operated by the driver or the passenger from inside the cab. Working up from there, we have a 40 litre drip torch fuel tank here, so we're not physically carrying drip torch jerry cans, taking them on or off. We're also not opening the jerry can because it's a hot day, pressure builds up in it. If you want to do a fill, it's here. Simple, effective, We're also taking fuel away from the area where the firefighters will be going for safety, which is the cab of the vehicle. We went with a diesel pump on this one. I know on the Land Cruisers we went the Honda motor with the Davey firefighter pump. Again, got a Davey twin impeller on this. Why wouldn't you? The reason we went for the petrol engines on the Land Cruisers was they were going to brigades that did not have a truck, and they would be going to remote areas. So everybody is able to perform some form of surgery on a Honda motor and a Davey firefighter pump, and able to buy one locally. So that met their specific needs. This is a conversation about firefighter safety. We don't have to carry fuel again. It is plumbed into the diesel fuel supply of the vehicle. And again, safety, Davey firefighter pump, people can make it work. We've kept the plumbing nice and open. And the important thing about the plumbing being open is it doesn't collect sticks, twigs, leaves, things like that on the fire ground. But also you can see how it works. You can, with a couple of minutes, most people would be able to work out to make water go into this and how to make water come out. So that's making the vehicle more accessible, because a rural fire brigade is a community organisation. Community members fight fires, and we want to make it available to more community members because we have co-opted volunteers. So if someone says, Justin, do you want a hand on the fire ground? I'm able to assess them to be fit to undertake the purpose of running the pump. If I go up by myself, and then they would be able to familiarise themselves with it very quickly. Passenger side of the vehicle. Here's your wet locker. We've got your suction hose down here, so that's keeping it out of the lockers, which is a change from the Land Cruisers. Again, the less fuel, the less flammable material we can carry for crew protection is better. Chainsaw, it's electric. It also has a charge point, so you're able to charge your batteries when driving around. This is a light attack, it's not a medium attack, it is not a heavy attack. The chainsaw is there. What do parks call it in Queensland? It's a nip-nip. It's a good size one though. The technology for battery chainsaws is really progressing well. Definitely something we want to talk about. That is part of a much longer conversation for all brigades in the state about going down that road. Next to that, as we found with the Land Cruisers, the 2 battery charge points, very popular. Again, there's a batter spray attachment here, so you can activate the batter spray from the passenger side. You're able to use a short length of hose, again from the passenger side, to fight running grass fires without getting in the vehicle, getting out of the vehicle. And the driver has that water level indicator on the dashboard as well. So we found with the Toyota Land Cruisers going around the state, that was really popular, so that is in this design as well. And your side fill point is here. Suction hose. Suction hose is now out of the lockers. We're keeping it down here. What that's going to do is going to allow us to have more storage in the lockers, but we're reducing the amount of water or wet material that we are putting in the lockers, and that's always going to be better because your lockers are generally shut, so this prevents us having to put more ventilation in there, or it's just going to keep it dry. What we have behind the driver's seat is an air scrubber. This is comes from the United States. It filters the air inside the cab when you turn it on. It's got an on-off switch. It takes the carcinogens out of the air inside the cab, and it's also reputed to take pathogens out as well, so like the Wuhan flu. Why we're doing this is we are trying to create a safe space for the firefighters, and also when you go into those very, very smoky environments, we're trying to provide a smoke-free environment for the firefighters in this cab. If this works, and there's a newer model already since we've put this in, which is sleeker, I'm led to believe, it is something that we could in Queensland look at putting into the medium attack twin cabs. So on the fire ground, we know when you see a twin cab in the future, hopefully, that is an area that will be a safe or safer place. The twin cabs we have in Queensland also have very little to no air conditioning in the back seat, so this may help with the distribution of air in those vehicles. So when you hop in the vehicle, please have a look at this and tell us what you think. Interesting thing to look at there. Right next to that we have the Thorea sat sleeve. That allows you, it's a hotspot, that allows you to turn your normal smartphone into a sat phone. And we as the RFBAQ, along with the fire service, have distributed over 100 of these to remote rural fire brigades already. And they are quite popular. It's also a cheaper solution than the normal sat phone. It's about a third of the price. And as I said, the RFBAQ and the fire service have distributed a number of those, and they are very popular with brigades that have poor comms. Here we are inside the cab. A lot of stuff that's similar to Rural Fire Brigade vehicles we've got in Queensland already. You've got your check body light in case any of your doors are open. That also works on the draw-out tray underneath the hose reel. Emergency start button for the second battery, for the 2-battery system. Next to that's the deluge button system that can be activated on the cab, which runs with the foam and the water. Next to that, external speakers, water level, so when you're fighting around a grass fire, the driver and the passenger have an understanding of how much they've got. Buzzer mute, which goes with your check body, and under tray lights. Moving up from there, this is the system where it will, the VTM on the vehicle, where you are, so it transmits where you are, so incident control can see it. You're also able to say how much water you're going through per minute, how fast you're going, where you are, it'll come up on their screens. But what we've built in there, it also has a weather system as well. And when the ambient temperature outside the vehicle is over 47 degrees for a consistent 3 minutes, what will happen? An alarm will go off. Now, as a firefighter, you're away at the fire front, you're wearing your helmet, wearing your gloves, you've got your visor down, you're wearing all your PPC. You don't really notice a fluctuation in or the temperatures increasing. So what this will do is, this is the machine saying to you, you now need to return to your vehicle because the fireground conditions are changing. That's for you as firefighters. Incident control will also see those alarms go off, and what that will do is give them an understanding that it's perhaps time to call everybody back to their vehicles and move out of this point to perhaps another safer place or the next fire line where you're going to try and stop the fire. This is something that isn't on anything else right now. The call to call the firefighters back to the vehicle needed to be something that was completely different to any other, the buzzers and the whirs and the pops or the sirens on the fireground. So we have gone with the bugle cavalry recall. That comes out of your siren speaker on the front of the vehicle, and it's a completely different noise. So the whole concept of that noise is to cut through for somebody to go, that doesn't sound normal, what does that noise mean? That's right, it's now for me to return to the vehicle. Where did the 47 degrees for 3 minutes come from? We made it up. What we're going to do as part of this process is we're going to engage a number of different healthcare professionals and say, what should that number be for how many minutes? But for the purpose of the exercise, we chose 47 degrees for 3 minutes. Scrolling up, inside the cab we have another screen. So we have a thermal imaging camera that is built into the bull bar. The screen shows what it sees. The point of this is when you do need to drive through particularly heavy smoke, it will give you an idea if there is another vehicle in that smoke, or if you are driving into fire. It is an idea that goes with the scrubber in the vehicle to provide a safer place for last resort. The screen then also, you can change the vision to above the recovery points at the rear of the vehicle, and once more there is another camera at the rear of the vehicle which will show you the working deck at the back of the vehicle and what people are doing there, or if there is anybody behind you, because the vehicle does not have a rear vision mirror. So what we've got to the right of your bushfire mapping tablet, or the screen where you've got your VTM, is standard fare. It is your controller for your lights and siren. Nothing new there, nothing controversial. Okay, coming around to the front of the vehicle, we have a winch. A winch is an important addition to enhance safety, but it's also a hazard. So they would need to undertake winch training, which we currently don't have in Queensland because we currently don't have winches on our firefighting appliances. Above that we have a light bar for high beam. Next to that we have the isolator switch. To the left of that we have the FLIR camera, and then we also have the strobes for our beacons as well. RFBAQ and QuikCorp would really like to show our appreciation of the sponsors of the innovation platform. They got on board very quickly, they're very keen, they're very, very supportive, and I think you'll see as this vehicle travels around the state over the next 7 or 8 months, you'll see this vehicle evolve and change as more ideas and better ways of doing what's on there are found, and I believe that our sponsors will be there the whole way. So again, thank you very much for the sponsors, and also for all firefighters out there, please get involved. The vehicle will be travelling around the state. Find out where it's going to be on the RFBAQ Innovation Platform Facebook page, the RFBAQ website. We'll be getting the information out there. Talk to your locally elected RFBAQ reps. They're all volunteer firefighters, they're all brigade members like yourself, and we will come up with, hopefully, a solution for firefighter safety in Queensland.